everyone. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Nanda Vania and I am a student at Universitas Indonesia. Today, I'm representing Group 3 to conduct an interview for our Produksi Konten Tematik Budaya Kontemporer course. We're currently looking into our topic, which is peer pressure, and I'm really excited to explore this topic further today. Okay, so to help me with that, I've invited a friend of mine here, Dimas. Thank you so much for taking the time to join with me. I know you're probably busy with your own classes and your studies, so I really appreciate you being here to share your insights about peer pressure letter. Now, before we get into discussion, could you please introduce yourself to the audience? Maybe tell us a little bit about what you're studying and where you're currently based.
Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Dimas Atiprayitno. I'm from English Education major at State University of Surabaya. For now, I stay in my boarding house in Surabaya.
Okay, so how are things going at UNESA?
It's going pretty well actually. Just the usual routine: go to class, do assignment, and go to my boarding house. Nothing too wild happening, but honestly, I don't mind. I'm the kind of person who likes keeping things chill.
Okay, so that was interesting to hear about your life at Surabaya at UNESA. So like I mentioned earlier, today we're talking about peer pressure. Before we go deeper, I want to see your perspective on it. Do you know what peer pressure actually is? And from what you have seen, what are the effects it has on students?
Actually, I remember my lecturer once mentioned that peer pressure is the influence that comes from your social group. It can push you to act, think, or decide in ways you normally would, just to fit in or avoid conflict. If I'm not mistaken, that's how it was explained to me. That's honestly, it stuck because it made me a lot of sense from what I've seen surrounding. And the effects, they're not always obvious. Some students won't become passive. They stop voicing opinions because they're afraid of being judged or left out.
Okay, so that's a great point, Dimas. I totally agree with you. Actually, to make it even clearer, based on Cambridge Dictionary, to define
Yeah.
what is actually peer pressure, it is actually the strong influence of a group on its member to behave like everyone else. So you get the point. So in simpler words, it's that social pressure we feel to follow the crowd just so we don't feel left out, like you said before. It's like feeling forced to do what others are doing, even if we don't really want to. And besides what you mentioned, I think this is, can also lead to stress or even losing our own identity because we're too busy trying to please everyone else, right? That's the effect. So yeah, I just want to point at the effect of the peer pressure on students. Now, moving from the theory to real life right now. Have you ever experienced something similar to what we just talked about or discussed? If so, could you share where and when it happened?
Yes, currently the PIC at my class. PIC is person in charge, and my class is honestly quite a handful. A lot of them tend to skip reading announcements. I hate it. So I'd answer one person question, and minutes later someone else would ask the exact same thing every single day. And it's not just that, they also expect to always be reminded personally, like rating things on their own isn't really their responsibility. What made it harder was that whenever something went wrong or got missed, I'd be the one they blame just because I'm the PIC, even for things that were clearly outside my control.
Okay, so that's your experience about peer pressure. Thank you so much for being so open and share your experience with us. Um, so Based on your experience, how do you usually deal with it so you can actually stay true to yourself? Like it's kind of hard to be PIC to actually have a big responsibility, right?
So for me personally, dealing with it comes down to a few things. I keep reminding myself why I took the role in the first place, not to feel like to actually be useful. I've also learned to separate adapting from conforming. I can adjust how I communicate without dropping my standards. And I think the biggest thing is just accepting that not everyone will appreciate consistency right away, and that's okay. I stay consistent anyway because at the end of the day, that's the version of myself I can live with.
Okay, so that is how you actually handle peer pressure. Um, okay, since you are the PIC of your class where you have a big responsibility to handle a whole class, handle your friends, your peers. So, what about peer pressure in your small circle of friendship? Do you have a circle? And what about um, an ideal of friendship for you?
Okay, for peer pressure from friends, I don't really have a close friend or circles. So my peer pressure is came from my classes, my all the members of classes, and also about ideal friendships. I think the ideal friendships for me is surrounded by hardworking and ambitious friends that can motivate me to study harder and set a bigger goals. Yeah.
Okay, so an ideal friendship for you is actually a people who actually have um same ambition with you or same values like you, right? Okay, so um thank you so much, Dimas. That's a great way to handle a peer pressure. Staying true to yourself is definitely the most important thing. Now, before we officially close our session, I have prepared a quick mini game for you, I guess for us. It's just for fun and it's a true or false game. Before we start the game, I want you to read the instructions really carefully. Read the statement on the screen carefully and then take your time to decide if you think it's true or false, and then you can answer based on your opinion and our discussion. Okay, first question. True or false? Teens are heavily influenced by their friends, even about issues where they already have existing beliefs.
Experience. I'm true, I think, because in this from what I've seen, all right, in this era is a lot of people influenced by their friends. Like they always follow what they friends say or what their friends do.
Okay, so your answer is false or oh true?
I think it's true. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, Dimas, you get the wrong answer, but the answer is a false because actually, as young adults, if we already have a strong principle, we don't just follow the crowd. For example, if you believe in like what you said, working hard for your grades, right? You put your efforts to get a really good grades, big grades. You won't suddenly become lazy just because your friends are, right? Okay. So the truth is, we usually hang out also, like you said, with the people who think like we do. So, you know, our friends, friendship, people around us as young adults don't actually change our identity. They just support the values that we already have. So the answer is false. Okay, move to next question. Um, Peer pressure can be both positive and negative.
For this question, I think the answer is, I think it's true. Yeah, peer pressure can have both negative and positive impact on a person. Like the negative impact is uh, content pressure to conform can make someone lose their own identity and values, and the stress of always trying to meet others' expectation can seriously affect their mental health. But however, I think it's also giving a positive impact, like what I said about the ideal friendship. Being surrounded by hardworking and ambitious friends can motivate my study harder and set bigger goals. Yeah, I think that's that.
Okay, so the answer is true. That is right. So, um, I just want to add something. Yeah, peer pressure is not always a bad thing. That's right, like what you said. Well, it can lead to a negative habits. It can also push us into positive direction. For example, having friends who study hard or join organizations can I think it can pressure us or you pressure you to be more productive too, right? It's all about the kind of circle you choose to be in, not only the pressure itself. Okay, so let's go to the next question. There is nothing parents can do to help their children deal with peer pressure. What do you think about this question? True or false?
I think it's false, maybe, because parents can do something like their support their child to meet a good person for friendship. I think.
Okay, so the answer is
Yeah, I think.
false. Yeah, you get it correct. Um, okay, so I just wanna add, even though we are older now, our family still plays a huge role, right? Parents help building our confidence and teach their kids, teaching us how to make our own decisions. When we have a strong foundation at home, I believe, yeah, it's much easier to stand our ground and say no to negative pressure, especially on campus, right? All right, that was really fun. Thanks for being such a good sport, Dimas. To wrap everything up, I just want to say that our discussion today really opened my eyes. Peer pressure is something we all face. I realize that right now. But hearing your experience and your ways on how to stay authentic while you don't actually have a circle of friendship, I just like to hear how you handle the peer pressure itself was really inspiring. And once again, thank you so much for joining me today and representing the student perspective from Universitas Negeri Surabaya. It's been pleasure talking to you. And, for everyone who's watching, thank you for sticking around. I hope you found this interview as helpful as I did. Nanda, Vania, and Dimas here. We'll see you on the next time.